We have a plastic outdoor wicker table. Recently, its top tore due to elemental exposures. So my wife asked me if I could build her a wooden tabletop. So I took it upon myself to build a cedar tabletop from rough cedar lumber and then do Shou Sugi Ban treatment on it. So I started with rough cedar, rough cut it at the chop saw, ran it through the jointer, planer, and the table saw to get it S4S. As I was cutting it through the table saw, it was blowing back so much dust back at me. I'm glad that I was wearing this apron. Once fully surfaced, I do the resawing at the table saw. I pass it halfway through, flip it around and pass it through the other half, but I leave a little sliver of wood because I don't feel comfortable to fully resaw it at the table saw. You can see that little sliver here. Then I split the piece into two at the bandsaw. Quickly pass it through the planer to get it perfectly flat. Then on to the glue up. This tabletop is too big for my art feed table, so I assemble this on the ground. I'm using Titebond 3 glue here because this will be mainly outdoors. I add cawls at the ends of the tabletop as well as the middle to make sure that the tabletop stays flat through the glue up and drying process. I'm throwing a bunch of clamps at this. Once the glue dried, I remove all the clamps and clean up some big lumps of glue with a chisel and a card scraper. Then I use the handheld electric planer and my 6-inch random orbit sander to get the tabletop perfectly flat. I have barely put any pressure on the sander. I'm letting the sander do all the work. It's doing a great job here. And then I use my track saw to cut off the excess at the ends and get them square. I added a chamfer to the top and bottom of the table just to get that clean look. If you're enjoying the video so far, please consider subscribing to my channel. After the profiling is complete, then it's on to Shou Sugi Ban. Since my shop is so small and there's no ventilation, I decided to do this outdoors. This is my first time doing Shou Sugi Ban, so I bought this propane torch based on a Facebook group recommendation from Harbor Freight. So I hooked up the torch to the 20-pound cylinder and started burning. After each layer of burning, you have to scrape off the tabletop with a wire brush, so I have that handy as well. I'll set the tabletop on these 4 garden tiles to control the burn. The very first layer, I start with the bottom, so in case I mess up, nobody will see it. I go gently, and this turns out to be fairly decent for a first attempt. As you burn it, cedar releases that pleasant cedar aroma, which makes this a very pleasant experience. The key is to not burn with full force and take light passes here, so you burn evenly. After the burn, I added a bottle of wine. I'm kidding, it's a bottle of water. My hose wasn't long enough, so I grabbed an empty wine bottle from a recycle. We seem to be having a lot of those. Wow. After the bottom, I started with the top and followed the same steps. After the burn was complete and the tabletop cooled off, I took it to where my hose was and then cleaned off the excess. It's best to do this outdoors, and especially for me where my shop space is really small. But if you choose to do this and do it anywhere, I suggest to pick a cooler weather or crank up your AC, because as you can see, I'm sweating more than I've ever sweat in my life. This is still drying, but I wanted to add some close-up shots. You are looking to get that dull shine. You don't want it to be too burnt out or too normal looking. You want that, I don't know if this camera is capturing this best or not, there's this dull shine which makes it look awesome. I hit the tabletop with a 240 grit sandpaper and 2 pieces of straight boards at the back to prevent the tabletop from bowing, as this will be primarily located outdoors. I'm experimenting with a new finish here. I'm using the polyacrylic. It is a weird choice for outdoor, I know, but with the cedar tabletop and the Shou Sugi Ban treatment done on the tabletop, it is not supposed to need any sort of finish. Anyway, this will be on my deck, so I get to observe it, and if I need any outdoor finish in the future, I can apply it. And then I bring the table down and drill some holes to secure the tabletop. I add 4 screws and call it done. This is next morning. As you can see, we have the morning dew that collects on the tabletop. It seemed to be doing okay. I'm gonna keep an eye on it. I'll add some close-up shots here. Thank you for watching the video. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below. Please hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video.